Tonight on the Henry Rollins Show, my friend William Shatner joins us to talk about his long, illustrious career and why he's still not slowing down. Then, an exclusive musical performance from Peeping Tom featuring legendary frontman Mike Patton. It's going to be a great show, folks. Stay right here. On September 11th, 2001, America woke up to one hell of a disaster. In less than an hour, the entire world changed as we knew it, and many of us were filled with grief, shock, horror, and an overwhelming anger directed at our enemy, whoever it was. To guard against further attacks, President Bush sent American forces into Iraq to overthrow Saddam Hussein, bring peace and democracy to Iraq, and fight the war on terror. I think it's safe to say that we know more than we did then about the Middle East, Islam, fundamentalism, and America's history in that region. Conversely, I think the Bush administration made good use out of our collective pre-9/11 ignorance to facilitate his invasion and occupation of Iraq. If we knew then what we know now, perhaps we would have done some things differently. At the very least, that's up for intense debate. I say some key people knew then what they know now and still chose to invade and occupy Iraq anyway. Our relative ignorance of the region was no doubt built into the equation and expertly deployed to grease the rails. America is still terribly undereducated on this region and given plenty of propaganda and not always enough facts. Recently, shrill Bill Phone Sex O'Reilly lamented that he was tired of all this Sunni and Shia business. That was his xenophobic version of, can't we all just get along? This sentiment is not surprising, even from the BB-brained Bill. A lot of Middle Eastern culture is too convoluted and ancient to the point of being obtuse for many of us to get our heads around. I am one of those, horribly late to the party and working hard to catch up in an effort to see a bigger picture, living on planet Earth as I do. To quote the great one himself, there's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, it's probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again. Are you kidding? Of course we can. And it's a luxury we can't afford. Joining us tonight is none other than William Shatner. Over his 50-year career, he has proven himself to be one of the most resilient, enthusiastic, and energetic actors we've ever seen. He's busy with ad campaigns, internet commerce, books, and, of course, his Emmy-winning role as Denny Crane on Boston Legal. Bill, thanks for coming on the show.
I didn't think we'd ever get there.
Oh, okay, very funny. I wanted to ask you, I've been to your wonderful home a few times for Monday Night Football or the Super Bowl, and there's always a really great group of people there, and eclectic, friendly, and very friendly to me. How did you gather those people?
Well, you know, making friends in our business is a difficult thing, isn't it? You and I met, for example, in a studio making a record. And we had fun together, and we played this number together. We invented this number together, and we had a great experience. And I actively sought you out to cultivate that friendship by inviting you to my house and saying, here I'm vulnerable and open to you. And so this is what happened. So in this eclectic way of collecting friends, everybody in that room, 20, 25, 30 guys, arrive at that house, and all basically in the same manner, where I have met them in one endeavor or another and actively sought them out in a knowledgeable campaign, if you will, to make friends because I have seen the difficulty of making friends with a guy behind the camera who may or may not be only have friendship in mind.
Yeah. The first time I came in, I kind of opened the door and I almost backed out. I was like, that's a lot of people. And you saw me, you're like, he's here, come in. I was like, I'm on. But it's been cool ever since. Now, what keeps you going at this great age? Because your schedule is demanding of someone half your age with insane amounts of ambition. I mean, it's grueling. Can you chart any change in your motivation over the last 50 years you've been in the entertainment business?
Well, yes. I mean, it started out when I was a young man. I graduated from university, and I was out looking for work, and I was a member of an acting company for 3 years in Ottawa, Canada. I was making $40, $50 a week. Money was not an issue. I was single. I was living in cars. I was sleeping on rope mattresses. I had to sometimes to choose to do my laundry or go see a movie. Those were things, rats in the room that I had to endure. Money wasn't an issue. What was an issue then was, can I get that role? How will I survive and yet be an actor and do the things I want to do? As things got easier and I had making more money, I was then concerned with family. Now suddenly it became with, I've got to provide for my kids. How I better take that job, whereas I wouldn't have done it before. I better take that job because it pays some money, or this job doesn't take me away from home, or this one does take me away from home, but there was family growing up and educations to pay for, and never being able to get quite far ahead. Every time you get far ahead, something would go wrong with the car, and you had to pay that bill, and you'd be back down into nothing in the bank account. Those are tough times, tough financially and tough emotionally. Always in front of me was the focus of being an actor and playing the role and being excellent. So the motivations have changed. Now it's, I want to play it well. I want to do my best work. Well, that was always the case, but even more so here. So the motivations changed.
Do you think your pre-Star Trek work has been overlooked?
Not by me, and people's attention span is very, very low, and whatever I've done before is, the past is buried. People forget, and you're only as good as this last project. So it is part of the ether now, and only all that exists for me as an actor is this frame right now, and you and I speaking.
One of the films you made for Star Trek was called The Intruder, a really great Roger Corman film. Very, very intense movie. Can you tell us about how you made that film and what it was like?
Historically, there had been a guy who had gone south into the Deep South and was seen in small towns all over the Deep South, riling up the populace to foment rebellion against the government edict of integration, black and white in the schools. This strange northern character. And a guy wrote a book on it. And Corman picked up the rights to the book and had a script made. And for some reason, I've never been quite clear as to why, he sent it to me. And I was just in Hollywood. I just arrived. I was a young actor looking for that kind of work, and it fell into my lap. And I said, yes, of course. And so Roger Corman, who was the king of the B movies that could be made within days, very few days, and very low budget, he wanted to make this movie about integration, which had no precedent in his lexicon. And he hired a group of actors. We went to the Deep South. Our lives were threatened. We lived in peril the whole time we were shooting. There was a gang. The only integrated gang in the Deep South at that time was black and white criminals out of jail who had gathered together for life of crime, I guess, were threatening us, and the police were guarding our motel and on the set guarding us. So it was pretty dangerous, and we filmed under duress and finished under duress.
It is, I cannot overstate, I hope people watch this film. I can't overstate how great your performance is. You play this awful man, just an awful, awful person to where it makes the viewer almost uncomfortable. There's a scene, it's one of the most frightening moments in American cinema, in my opinion. It's everyone in their Klan outfits in the cars going through the bad neighborhood. As a viewer...
They brought their own.
Oh, okay. They brought their own. There are all the reaction shots of the locals coming out of their abodes to look at this thing going down the street.
On the dirt street, the black people came out of their homes.
Now, you know the look on an extra's face when they know they're being filmed. They act like extras. None of those people look like extras to me. That was a real face. You know, they're like really reacting to the Klan driving by their homes.
Because that was the Klan.
Yes. But I could tell, I went, wow, that's a no permit shot. This is guerrilla filmmaking.
You're exactly right.
And they're lucky that they got that shot.
You're exactly right. They went, I can't say I went because I would have loved to have gone, but Roger and his crews grabbed shots wherever they could.
The faces are just, they say so much. It was such a real shot.
Imagine, try and put yourself in somebody's shoes who had to live like that.
I can't. I mean,
None of us can.
Yeah, it's
You get a glimmer. We got a glimmer when we were down there, and it's been many, many years in my memory for events. You know, I live in the present, but I have vivid recollections of exactly what you're talking about, and it'll stay with me forever.
I hear you. When did you start getting involved with music?
Well, I love musical comedy. I had not my heart, that's too strong. I fantasized about song and dance. And I even studied opera for a year or so, trying to develop a voice. And I might have, had I stuck with it. I just never the concept of literally developing your voice. Like, I just thought, I can't do it. I don't have a talent for it. I don't have a voice. I don't have a singing voice. I sort of gave up on it, but I loved it. So in lieu of being able to do it, I kind of struck out on my own way, which was because I'm an actor and a classical background, I understood poetry and rhythm, and that I tried to play with, so that although I couldn't sing, I tried to make music.
So you're basically just a fan of music who wanted to just
do it, exactly. Just have some fun.
Yeah, and over the years, those records have this amazing shelf life, like, you know, Mr. Tambourine Man and all of that. And I'm sure you may have taken a couple of shots when you were doing them, but now I have all those records.
Well, I'll tell you, the Mr. Tambourine Man thing, the Transform Man, it was called.
Right.
Record company says, would you like to do a record? Would I like to do a record? Wow, what an opportunity. What should I do? Well, my interest in literature, in prose, and my interest in the lyric of a song, and trying to encapsulate a character in both struck me, and I said, here's the concept. I'll take an element of literature, and I'll take a song that either complements, or is the opposite of, in philosophy, of that piece of literature, and will write fresh music underneath the literature and segue into the music of the song, and I'll speak both. So it was a 6-minute cut, 3 minutes for the literature, 3 minutes for and we do it. And good, bad, or indifferent, it's an interesting concept. I go on the Johnny Carson show and to do a cut, and I don't remember what cut, but just say it was Cyrano de Bergerac which has a speech, and I may climb to no great heights, but I will climb alone, segues into a drug song of a guy looking, I think it's Mr. Tambourine Man, of a guy looking for his fix, and he can't find it. So he can't climb alone. He is hooked. That was my thought behind that. Required 6 minutes, so I rehearse, and the producer comes over and says, you know, that song, that 6 minute thing's too long, you got to cut it in half. Do either the literature or the song. I said, well, God, never occurred to me that song wouldn't work without the literature until you knew what the context was. I thought, well, I'll do the song. I did the song, and nobody knew quite what I was doing. I probably didn't know what I was doing at the time. And the song got kidded and, you know, poked fun at. And I lost the record, the idea of the seriousness of the record. Only in post, many years later, people like Ben Folds say, well, I heard The Transformed Man, and I loved the idea, and that's why I'm here. You know, that's why we're working together on the things that Ben and I worked on, because he heard The Transformed Man. So in a way, The Transformed Man begat Has Been, which is something I point at with great pride of having worked on it with people like yourself.
Yeah, I get so much nice mail about that. And
Wow.
the fact that you and I and Ben Folds and Joe Jackson did that song live, that's one of my favorite moments of my short life.
I know.
I have a great photo of the two of us on stage someone took from the audience and sent it to me as a gift. The song we did together, last question. The song we did together is called I Can't Get Behind That, which is basically your thing, which I added a few things here and there. And it's a list of things that we cannot get behind, everything from leaf blowers to too much information, etc. This year, 2007, what can you not get behind right now?
President Bush.
Perfect. Bill, thank you, sir. Wonderful guest.
Pleasure.
Coming up later in the show, we have an exclusive musical performance from Peeping Tom. But first, My Life Animated in Drawing Conclusions. It's interesting that humans, we reside at the top of the food chain. We inhale, but if I were to ask you, what did you smell on your last inhale? You go, I don't know. I don't remember. Well, what are you smelling now? Air. And the only time we acknowledge smell, like, ooh, coffee, pizza, ass, you know, when it's like familiar. Because we're at the top of the food chain. We're not running from shit that wants to kill us. We might go, sulfur dioxide, sarin, you know, but most of the time you're like, I'm just a breather, just a respirating, watery sack of recessive traits. That's what most of us are all the time. Now, most of the rest of the animals in the world, every time they inhale, is that food or something that wants to kill me or a combination of both. And so most animals on the face of the earth live in terror 24 hours a day. They sleep frightened, they wake up frightened, their whole day is get food, don't get killed, get food, don't get killed. I know this because I have squirrels in my backyard, and squirrel is a city creature. I have them in Southern California in my backyard, and all of you have encountered the squirrel, that you've surprised the squirrel while the squirrel is eating. The squirrel's eating, and you walk up, the squirrel drops the nut and freezes. Chuck Darwin told the squirrel that if you freeze, you'll blend in. Just stop what you're doing, and you'll blend in. And so the squirrel keeps one eye on you, and the other eye is affixed. Who the fuck knows? And so the squirrel's like, and have you ever like, I see you, Mr. Squirrel? And the squirrel's in incredible denial. Like, no, you're not. I'm a bush. I'm a bush. I'm a boxwood. I'm a poplar tree. No, you're a squirrel. And the squirrel just like, he freaks out. Like a little squirrely Tourette sets in, like, he leaves a strip of pellets and he's gone. Now, if you look at a documentary about any animal in Africa, it's usually a dominant animal-eating animal. The gazelle, the impala, never gets a documentary because they're just food for something else. Who gives a fuck about an impala? They're just snacks. But you will see them featured in the leopard documentary, and they'll have a massive field of impala, and then you see their body language says, I'm scared all the time, and I'm really hungry. It's like, chew, chew, chew. Okay, we're good. Half the food falls out of the mouth. And then one Impala sounds the alarm. Ah, ah. And I'm like, ah! All the way to Indiana. They do not stop for 4.5 days. Finally, okay, who sounded the alarm? All right, Cedric. What was it? I don't remember. I'm an Impala. Every 2 minutes the show starts again. I think it was something that wanted to eat us. I don't know, it smelled weird. I don't know. I just, but we're all safe now. All right, Cedric, thank you. All right, Cedric the alarmist, thank you very much. Okay, people, back to one. Let's go. And they trot back to Kenya. Tonight's musical guest is Peeping Tom. There's not enough I can say about Peeping Tom's frontman, Mike Patton. From his epic past with Faith No More and Mr. Bungle, to collaborations with artists as diverse as Bjork and John Zorn, to his present and future with his other groups Fantomas, Tomahawk, and now Peeping Tom, we're honored the man and his band could spare the time to show up. Here to perform Mojo off their self-titled album, this is Peeping Tom, live and uncut. That's our show for tonight. Thank you again to my special guests, Peeping Tom and William Shatner. We'll see you next time.